Hello everyone, how is it going? So I'm back with another video, and in this video what I'm going to be showing you is how to use AI to create your own personal secretary, and specifically to manage your mailbox, incoming inquiries from customers, and just in general any emails that you get that needs some sort of response. So what I've configured this AI assistant to do is to read the incoming emails and ignore spam. And with those incoming emails, like I said, customer inquiries or maybe offers, whatever it may be from the customer, it reads it and then it generates a response, puts in your draft ready for you to look at and send if all is ready. Very simple, takes 10 minutes to do. Obviously, a more simple model. If you want the more complex ones, takes a bit longer, hours, and perfect it. Make sure that the draft email that it generates is perfect and to your specification. So this is what it looks like, and I'm using N8n. And in terms of actually creating an account, all that good stuff, I've talked about in previous videos, and there are plenty of videos where you can have a look at um, getting that sorted out. I'm using the paid version as well. That allows me to make sure all my workflows are on the cloud, all the configurations are there, so it's just very easy to use. So I'm just going to show you an example. I've already um, test sent myself an email, and then looking at the draft, you can see the response generated by the AI. So this is the email that I sent to myself from a different email address. Hi, I'm interested in the service you're providing. Regards, your Carlo. So in the draft, you can see this response generated by the AI. So very nice, very professional response. All I need to do is add a name at the bottom and it's good to go. So it's done exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, obviously, to show you that it was not fabricated, I'm going to send another email to myself and then we'll see how it operates. So as you can see, email changing the content slightly, talking about AI service. If I can workflow and execute, it should pick up that new email and generate a draft response. Lovely, lovely. So that seems to have worked. You can see the output here. Thanks for reaching out. Interest in your service. In our service, I'd be happy to provide you with more information. So let's go to my Gmail account and see if that's been placed in the draft. Let's give it a refresh. There we go. Lovely email. Hi, Jeff. Thank you for reaching out, etc., etc. And it was even formatted in the correct manner. So that was a success. And to actually create this simple workflow, this AI secretary is very easy. So I'm going to show you how to do that very simply. So you want to open up a new workflow. And as a trigger, what you want to do is use a Gmail as a trigger on received messages. Okay, so you need to configure this with your Google credentials. It's very easy. Create a new credential. The best thing to do is to make sure to be signed into your Gmail account. For this particular example, I'm using Gmail. Sign into your Gmail account on a different tab. And then once you create new credentials, it will just connect using this option, sign in with Google, and you give it the permissions, and then you've signed in with those credentials. So we'll close that, and we'll close that as well. So we've got that. Then we want to connect the AI itself, the AI agent. I'm going to define below. We'll need to fetch an email to use for the prompt, and also we're gonna actually let me make my head a bit smaller here. And then we also want to add a system message just to give it some instructions on how to actually behave as the secretary has as a helpful assistant. You need to give it specific instructions to read the email and create a draft response. So you've got to be quite specific with this. I'm going to copy that from my previous example. A very simple prompt. As I said, if you want to create an actual fully fledged working model, you want to be very, very specific in this prompt so that when it comes to reading the emails, it replicates exactly the perfect model that you're after, the perfect email that you're after, the perfect draft that you're after. So this requires a bit more refining when it comes to creating the working model. Going to fetch an email. So data found. So let's just resend the email so I can find an example. Okay, so that email has gone through. I've just copied and pasted that email that I sent previously so that we can have a test example to use. Now we're going to add OpenAI as the LLM to use. And again, in previous videos, I've talked about how to set this up. You want to go to the OpenAI website, create a developer's account, and then add a small budget, $5, £5. And then that will last a very, very long time because using LLMs doesn't cost a lot. It costs like pennies. So you can £5 last very, very long. Use simple memory, change that to define below. And I'm just going to put test as a key so that I can save the data. And for the tool, this is where we add the Gmail tool to create a draft so that after it reads the email, then it creates the draft copy and saves it there. We're going to let AI generate the email address that it goes to, and then also the subject matter or the subject. And obviously, it reads the email and then generates the appropriate subject, and the same for the message. So we'll let the AI generate that as well. And obviously, in terms of the prompt that we give it, this is where it's got to be specific so that the message that it generates is according to how we want it. So that is it. That's literally it. So if I now execute this workflow from the email that's received, it will then generate a message that I can use to respond to the customer query. It takes a few seconds and then adds that to my draft. So I don't want it to send it out in case there's issues with it. I want to look over it. I want to look at the draft, maybe make some edits and then send it out. But then this is going to save me a ton of time having to look at my emails constantly. I might miss a few customer queries. So this is going to save me time and money. Going to get everything ready for me to actually, I need to make a few edits to it and then send it off. So let's execute the workflow. Actually, let's save this first. So there's an issue with it. Let's go to the AI agent. Issue is I forgot to add a prompt. So this I can fetch from the email. So I want the email message to be the prompt. So it looks at this. So let's execute previous nodes. Okay, so this is a snippet. I'm going to add this as a prompt or the user message. And that should resolve that issue. So now let's try execute. Let's say first, execute workflow again. Okay, so that looks to have worked. So I sent another email to my inbox, just copied and pasted in and changed the name. And after executing the workflow, it is now generated a draft email. So that's worked beautifully. So that's literally it. Takes less than 10 minutes. And in that time frame, create an AI agent that's acting as a personal secretary, going through my emails, checking customer queries, maybe potentially offers that could be within there. Saves a ton of time and money. So just a small example of the power of AI agents. And obviously you can expand this, make it a lot more complex. You can make it do a lot more things, and we'll go through that in future videos. So that'll be all for today. See you later. Bye.